This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to episode 23 of the Animaniacast.
Tell me what's troubling you, Yakko.
Well, Doc, I think I can see into the future.
Into the future? When did this start?
Next Monday.
Oh.
And welcome once again, everybody, to the Animaniacast. We are the one, and as far as I know, only podcast that is dedicated to the television series, the Animaniacs.
Yes.
Each and every week, we revisit a new episode of the series, and we discuss all the gags, all the cultural references, all the things we really liked about the episode, and some of the things we didn't really like about the episode. And in the end, we give each and every episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me, as always, is my brother Nathan.
Tell me something I don't know.
And over in Georgia, it is Kelly.
Hello.
That is how you doing, Kelly?
I'm okay.
We are here to give a hopefully pleasant distraction for the post-election possible blues for 50% of the country.
Yeah, it's 50-50, so...
So, half of you are happy, half of you are sad, but either way, this is a distraction from what has been a very contentious political year. So, we're going to talk about an episode today that perhaps isn't the best distraction, I guess, because we were talking before the show that this may not be one of our favorite episodes, but it was still, I think, a decent episode. What do you think, Nathan? In a few words, what would you basically say about this episode?
It made me think about my future.
Oh, that's interesting. And Kelly, what about you?
I don't know why I think that's so funny. I really just don't have much to say about it, really. I don't remember watching it in its original run. It was one of those not very memorable episodes, apparently.
Yeah, I don't remember. The only thing I remember from this is the first song, which we'll get into in just a moment. But I guess
remember that.
Yes. Well, this particular episode really, I mean, it made me feel conscious of not only the Earth, but I guess the general what are you going to say? Like the internal environment of your body, right? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But
yeah, it had some good messages.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely had a message for kids, a few messages to be aware of your of the world and also of yourself, which is kind of cool.
Don't take for granted like the things you can get now without thinking about the future or something. You know?
Sure.
The consequences of things, I guess. I don't know. Something like that.
Very sure.
Sure.
Well, at the end of this episode, we have something very exciting. We will have the winners of the contest. The contest that we were running for Animaniacs decals. I can't even say it.
Woo!
So,
I'll just read them off now.
So stay tuned to the end of the episode. If you entered, you gave us a 5-star review, then you are entered into this contest, and then just stick around for the rest of the to the end of the episode, and you'll find out if you won or not. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with the first segment. Well, actually, before we get to the first segment, Nathan, I got to ask you.
Yeah?
I don't know when this episode first premiered. When did it first premiere?
Okay, well, I did some research. I did some digging around on the internet.
Gotcha.
And I believe it was October 15th of 1997. No, wait, 93.
93.
That's right. Okay.
93.
So far, they've
right.
all been 93, which is...
Okay.
Might be... maybe I'm just a conspiracist, but it seems a little...
something's going on with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well... and of course,
93 was a good year for Spielberg fans.
It was. Well, what... Okay, Kelly, was there a movie that came out from Spielberg, or just in 93?
Well, yeah, Jurassic Park.
Oh, duh. Was that 93? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and because Jurassic Park came out that year, I'm pretty sure that means Schindler's List also came out that year. because I think they came out the same year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, they did. I looked it up real quick. And then that was also the same year Sequest premiered and Animaniacs, and it was a good year for Spielberg.
He had a lot of things on his plate that year.
Yeah, it seems like too much of a coincidence to me, if you ask me. So,
Hey, what are you saying?
I think his extraterrestrials are involved or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what I was like. No, that's not the ET theme, because when you said extraterrestrials, I thought ET, and then I was like, that's Close Encounters. But which is also extraterrestrials.
Exactly.
But they're not ETs.
They're not ETs. They're creepy. What are they?
They're just aliens.
They're just AT.
they're pre-ET?
They're BET.
Yeah, Pre-T.
They're preteens.
Preteens.
They were pretty small. Okay, we're so off task, ladies and gentlemen.
Was this not in the episode?
No, none of this was in the episode.
Sorry.
Okay.
You know how I get.
No, we're all discombobulated right now. We've all been up late watching election results, and we don't know which way is which. But anyway, the variable verse was the rain in Spainy, by the way. So once again, we're getting the My Fair Lady, and I didn't really get the connection this time. This is one of those times where a variable verse was not really connected to what was going on to any of the things I could think. I mean, there was a rainforest, so. Rain? I don't know. There was a song. Well, let's get right to that song right now. And the first one, let's get to the first segment now. Boom. Okay, the first segment was Be Careful What You Eat, and this is actually a song. The music was written by Jacques Offenbach. Jacques Offenbach. That guy's, I wonder, how long does he work on the Animaniacs, I wonder. But then the lyrics were written by Randy Rogel. Actually, Jacques Offenbach is, it's from the operetta Orpheus in the Underworld. The song is called The Infernal Gallop. But a lot of us just think of it as the Can-Can song.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, da, 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 da. I just wanted to start kicking my feet around the room when I heard the song. Not really, but there is this song has some variant verses. Basically, what happens in this is the Warners go to the grocery store and they look and they want to get some ice cream, and they sing about all the different weird ingredients that are in it. In fact, I'm gonna play the Netflix / broadcast beginning, and then we'll play the version that was in the soundtrack, just so you can hear the differences between the two. So here is the version from the broadcast version. Here we go.
Hey, let's get some ice cream.
How about this one? Pistachio, almond, fruit fudge, butterscotch delight.
Ingredients: zinc trisodium aspartate, sorbitol and bisulfate, oxide beta-carotene, lactic acid carabine. Grade A milk emulsified, maltodextrin alkylide, silicon dioxide, lots of sugar.
All right, so right there, that's the beginning of that. Just to give you an idea, we have the little cartoon intro music, and my Mac is making nice music for us right now.
Hey,
but this is what it sounds like in the beginning of the CD or the soundtrack version. So here we go.
Hey, let's get some ice cream.
How about this one? Pistachio, almond, fruit fudge, butterscotch delight.
Ingredients: zinc trisodium aspartate, sorbitol and bisulfate, oxide beta-carotene, lactic acid carabine. Grade A milk emulsified.
Okay, so right there you kind of see the difference between,
I didn't catch it.
they have a lot more music in the broadcast version just to kind of go over, the actions of their movements, I suppose. It would just look kind of weird, I suppose, on a television version to have them moving around with no music, maybe. I don't know. But perhaps the biggest difference, however, is right towards the end of the song. Let me cue this up, the broadcast version, just so we get the difference. So this is the broadcast version.
We like
like sweets a lot, so give us all you got, and we'll stuff them in our bodies till they make our insides rot.
Okay, so that is the broadcast version, and now, once again, let's go over to the version that was in the soundtrack.
We like sweets a lot, but they make your insides rot, so remember it's your body and the only one you've got.
So...
They're different.
They're different. Now, so we have two different, I guess you could say, variant verses. Let me ask you guys, which version do you prefer? Which line?
I like visually seeing it, I think. I don't know.
do you have any preference whether this is the only body, remember it's your body and the only one you got, or just talking about your insides rotting? Any preference?
No, I have no preference.
Kelly?
I think I'm just more familiar with the one where they're saying, remember, it's your body and the only one you've got, because that's the one that's on the soundtrack I have. So that's the one I'm just more familiar with.
Yeah.
And when I'm hearing this song, that's the line that I kind of sing in my head. So I guess that one, 'cause that's the one I've heard more.
I remember hearing the song from, I think I actually, before I got the soundtrack, I actually would pop in our tape, like a little cassette tape, and make my own little Animaniacs soundtrack. I didn't even know there was an Animaniacs soundtrack for the longest time until later on getting a CD player. Probably, gosh, in the late 90s or something. I'm assuming. So, so the version I always like is the making your insides rot, because to me that's just a little more hard hitting than, okay, remember everybody, it's the only body you have, versus you're gonna have, your insides are rotting, which is a little darker to me. In fact, a lot darker to me. I don't know, just an opinion kind of thing right there. Not a huge difference, but what do you guys think about the song?
I liked it.
It's catchy.
Yeah, and it's almost educational if I knew what all the words meant.
Some of the ingredients weren't that bad. I mean, some of the ingredients, I looked at it, you have butter, fat. Like, that's not necessarily bad. And in the
caramel
quantities.
Filling.
Yeah.
I'll eat that.
Carbohydrates. But I guess you had you had MSG in your ice cream, which to me just sounded kind of weird. This is just an ice cream. This is a weird ice cream flavor they decided to get.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, a really cool song. I don't know, any other last thoughts about this song before we move on to our next segment, guys?
It's nice. It just teaches kids to look at a label before eating food.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I just always think that Randy Rogel's so talented, and the way he can put a lot of different types of words together and have it rhyme, and with the tune and everything, just like he did with Nations of the World. I just think he's a really talented songwriter.
It's kind of reminiscent to me in this, now that you mentioned that, Kelly, of, have you heard, most people have heard at some point, Tom Lehrer singing The Elements.
There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and gold, protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium. There's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium.
And so Tom Lehrer is taking all the different elements and just kind of putting it to a catchy tune. And again, just taking those complex words and somehow finding the rhyme to it is good. It's a neat talent to have. And there you go. So there you go. That is our first song. Okay, so before we go on to our second segment, there is a quick transition. Yakko is in a session with Dr. Scratch and Sniff, and Yakko is claiming he can see the future. And he says, when did this begin?
Next Monday.
Next Monday. And then finally he says, wait, I got something. And it's the next cartoon. And again, a cute way to introduce the next segment. This episode it's kind of weird because this episode didn't have a dedicated cartoon all for the Animaniacs, but yet we saw them throughout, a little spiced in here and there.
They're throughout the entire show, really, because they're in, I think they're in every cartoon.
Yes. So even though the Warners didn't have their own, one cartoon, there's still a presence, so that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's go into segment 2, which is Up the Crazy River. Up the Crazy River was written by Nicholas Hollander and directed by Alfred Gimeno. And I've been told by, I believe it was Curtis Finley, one of our listeners, that it is pronounced Alfred Gimeno because his wife used to work with him in some aspect.
Wait, his wife used to work with her husband?
No, Alfred Gimeno. And so there we go. I'm going to go with Alfred Gimeno unless anyone else can tell me differently. There we go. So Nathan, what happens in Up the Crazy River?
So we have another Mindy and Buttons cartoon. This time they are in the Amazon going down a river in South America. Mindy somehow gets off the boat, of course. And it turns out the rainforest is being destroyed by logging. The logging industry is cutting down too much of the trees. And luckily Buttons figures out how to destroy all of it, and all the animals get happy. And
Buttons saves the rainforest.
Yep, Buttons saves the rainforest and Mindy. And of course, at the end, the parents get mad at Buttons for getting wet and getting Mindy all wet.
Yeah. You got
no treat for you.
Oh, no treat for you.
Exactly.
So, yes, there we go. So Up the Crazy River, it's kind of a reference and a bit to some different songs, Up the Lazy River, and just, or the song Lazy River. So there's some song references right there in the thing, but to me, it just kind of felt like it was almost like a light version of Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest. Mixed in perhaps a little bit with that Roger Rabbit cartoon. It was the third one they made where they're in the woods trail. Oh, I'm killing it. It's hurting me. But you know the one I'm talking about?
Do a little drop right here of that.
I'm going to look it up real quick while you guys discuss this. But what do you guys think about this Mindy Buttons cartoon?
I enjoyed it well enough, I think. It had some of the classic things, and of course the parents are just completely negligent. I don't know how they didn't notice Mindy or Buttons were missing this entire time. Everyone was pretty bored on the ship too, it seemed. So it seemed like
it was a mix between going on the Jungle Cruise and the Mark Twain.
You stole my thoughts. Because I was just sitting here thinking, when it was my turn to talk, I was going to compare it to the Jungle Cruise, because all things lead back to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Well, you had the piranhas, and you had all those, all those things right there.
Yeah.
I guess there's some factual inaccuracies, like they talk about the world's biggest waterfall, and that is the world's biggest waterfall is not on the Amazon River.
No.
That tour guide was just trying to make things more interesting for those people.
The backside of water.
At least he wasn't. They weren't doing the stupid jokes like they do on the Jungle Cruise.
Exactly. Like Nathan just said, the backside of water. I would prefer. I would have preferred those. I'd love the Jungle Cruise. Speaking of the Jungle Cruise, it's a ride I always try to go on in Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Every time I go.
Every time. Just even though I've gone on it countless times.
I love going like the last ride of the day where like the tour guide is just sick of it all.
And they start cursing and everything. No.
Throwing things at me.
Yeah, see, I'll go and ride the teacups 8 more times before I'd go on the Jungle Cruise again. I don't hate it or anything. It's just the line's always so long, and once you've done it, it's always the same.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. At Disneyland, I will not go on the Jungle Cruise if it's a 40-minute wait, which you can very easily get to. But a lot of times it's just a walk-on. Like it's a quick.
Oh, yeah, I'd do it if it was a walk-on.
That's why, the very end of the day, it's like everything looks better too at night. So
yeah. By the way, everybody, it was Roger Rabbit Trail Mix-Up was the cartoon I was thinking of. Because in that cartoon, Roger Rabbit's chasing Baby Herman, and they go into a sawmill at the very end. And to me, Roger Rabbit will always be, when it comes to chasing babies, number one.
Yeah.
It goes Roger Rabbit, and then
everything else
below it, way below it. Okay, well, what else? I mean, this had a nice environmental message, right? I mean,
yeah. See, again, think about don't cut down too many trees. Obviously, we need wood, but we also need the rainforest. So,
well, not in the rainforest. I had that really nice dramatic. Had some good, kind of dramatic shots to show kids, like when all the dust starts piling up from the mill starting. They show that. Like a long shot on that chainsaw that just sits there with dust collecting. Like, you see?
Look, all it takes is one dog
and it had
can make a difference.
One dog can make a difference, ladies and gentlemen. It had a cute little, whatever it was, jaguar
Yeah,
family,
it was like a jaguar.
Yeah, cute little jaguar family and cute little alligator or crocodile family.
I would think
alligators,
yeah.
Read my
South
lips,
Africa.
Alligators.
It kind of reminded me of that Simpsons episode, Lisa Goes to Washington, just seeing all the stumps. I was just imagining all the animals having little tea parties on. It's like there's just one quick shot of that in that episode.
Okay. There you go. Well, nice little cute episode. I don't know if there's much more to say about that other than I like Mindy kind of saying the way she was saying butterfly was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Butterfly.
Oh, I do love it.
Butterfly, butterfly, fly, fly, butterfly, little butterfly.
Butterfly.
We see the Animaniacs, of course, in it fishing on the Amazon River, and
that's true. Yeah,
I guess there was inconsistencies with Button's collar would disappear every now and then.
Yeah, but that happens so much in when it comes to animation inconsistencies. A thing like a collar, I'll forgive.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
When I'm watching old episodes of, say, like Ninja Turtles, remember like when the animation inconsistencies would happen in that? Like in the first season, like Michelangelo would suddenly have a purple bandana on. And we're like, wait a minute, that's Donatello. What's going on? And so I'll forgive his collar disappearing every now and then. But overall, it was a cute thing. Oh, one more quick little reference. The ship that they were on is called the Amazon Queen, which is a takeoff of the African Queen from the Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn film from 1951 called African Queen. So there you go. Neat. Well, I think we've talked about all we could about this particular one. Cute, but it's Mindy and Buttons, and I don't think any of us are necessarily the hugest Mindy and Buttons fans.
Yeah, there wasn't any surprises in this episode. Mindy wasn't saved this time.
Well, they have a formula, and it's
you got to stick with the formula.
Stick with that formula, and there was a nice variant of it that Buttons actually got to save more than just Mindy, and still not get credit for it. Although he did it in perhaps not the proper way, because they're just going to rebuild that mill and destroy more of the rainforest. Now I'm just depressed. Okay, let's go ahead and before we get into our last segment, we're going to go ahead and do one more transition. This time, all the Warners are talking with Dr. Scratch.
Yay! This was a fun one.
Yeah, this was pretty cute. This time they're drawing pictures. So what do we have? We had Dot drew a picture of the Eiffel Tower in Italy.
Okay.
And there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's no Eiffel Tower.
There's no Eiffel Tower in Italy. That's why there's nothing there. And then, of course, Wacko drew a picture of a cow eating grass with nothing there. And he says, where's the grass?
The cow ate it.
The cow ate it. That was cute.
And there's no cow because there's no grass to eat.
Yeah, why would the cow stick around?
Yeah, so that was cute. That was another good gag. And, of course, Yakko simply has the next cartoon and shoves his paper in the screen. And then we go to our next cartoon, which is ta-da-dump, 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 dump, dump.
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Squid the Pigeon from the Goodfeathers and Animaniacs, and you're listening to the Animanicast. Don't hit me, Pesto!
Ta-da-dump, etc. was a story by Tom Ruegger, and it was written by Charles M. Howell IV and directed by Mr. Greg Reyna. Kelly, what happens in this cartoon?
The Goodfeathers are trying to find food, and apparently there's a turf war over at the Scorsese statue. And so they go and find a dump where there's some food, but then that's one of the seagulls' turf. And meanwhile, Pesto gets caught up in one of those plastic, I don't know what they're called, but they go around aluminum cans, the 6-packs, and he gets all entangled in the plastic, which is why, kids, people tell you to cut those things apart before you throw them away, because birds and little animals get caught in them.
There you go. It's
my environmental message of the day.
There you go.
See, it's another one.
So,
and that's pretty much it. They spend the episode trying to get him out of this container, and he gets mad at everybody, and he's like, "You talking to me? You saying that about me?" And a couple times, and he's more irritable than usual.
Yeah, well, I could understand why. I mean, Pesto is in a very precarious position right here, where he can't really move as much as he wants. He had a lot of good. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah,
what are you saying? That I'm.
Yeah, he actually compared himself to. He goes, "What do you say? I'm Esther Williams." He says, "What's the line here?"
Sorry, Pesto.
You're sorry? I'm drowning here. What do I look like, Esther Williams? You think I'm some kind of a Mark Spitz here?
That's probably your biggest reference when it comes to cultural references in this particular cartoon. Esther Williams was an American swimmer, and they made a bunch of movies about her. Mark Spitz was an Olympic swimmer. So there you go. Esther Williams. I remember seeing like clips of old. I'd never seen an Esther Williams movie, but I remember seeing like little clips on Turner Classic Movies or something of women swimming, and I'm assuming Esther Williams was probably in one of those. Whenever I think of women swimming and people filming them, I think of the Muppets, the Great Muppet Caper, and he's going, "Happiness, Miss Piggy."
That's a great scene.
One color, Miss Piggy. Anyway. Okay, so, but yes, good Pesto stuff. Bobby, I noticed in this one, was really holding the law. Yeah. Like, Bobby was the one that was intimidating Pesto a lot in this one.
Yeah, I was surprised. I kept waiting for the God Pigeon to come in, but basically, Bobby took that role.
Yeah, Bobby took that role and just kind of said, "Hey, cut it out." And then Pesto would
even opened his eyes one time.
Oh yeah, so that's
like you never hardly see him open his eyes.
Yeah,
he was serious.
And he's totally the ideas man in this. He's the one that comes up with the way to get him out, which is just to.
That's true.
Have the hot dog cart open,
and they morphed into the shape of little pigeon cans,
which I don't know how the hot dog cart would not realize these are pigeons. Like how fuzzy or feathery are these
towards
cans?
The end of the day, the guy was just kind of going on autopilot, and but it was good animation in this one. I like that. It also had a very, very disturbing moment when Pesto gets crushed by the hot dog cart and has this scream that goes on for a long time, which sounded pretty bad. So again, if one thing Goodfeathers cartoons do is they usually have a few moments where you really I kind of wince in pain when I see these poor pigeons get crushed in not just get crushed, but like get crushed in kind of bad ways that you really can feel. So that was cool. But again, good animation, the voice sync and everything. I thought it was, he says, "You look dizzy." You know,
I like that
adult, this adult thing right here.
You okay? You look dizzy. What do you mean I'm dizzy? Hey, I just said you look dizzy, that's all. You saying I'm some dim-witted blonde bombshell here to titillate you? What? Hey, I just thought you looked dizzy. That's it! Give it! Oh,
his chest gets very big right there when he says the word titillate. So I don't know who that was. Interesting direction right there. I would definitely not have noticed that, I don't think, as a kid, and that has got to go probably into the adult reference category, I think, of Animaniacs. Probably one that's usually overlooked too by a lot of reference guides, because it doesn't deal with the Warners. It's dealing with the Goodfeathers, which people go, oh, I'm just going to skip those people. But no, that was a pretty overt one right there, I believe.
Well, and they're always too busy putting fingerprints on those lists anyways.
That's true.
That's like the one I come across all the time.
Yeah, the fingerprints one is it's overdone, to say the least. Okay.
We'll get to that one when we...
We'll kind of just go, oh yeah, what if we just don't even mention that reference at all?
When that
That'd be
episode
hilarious.
comes up, I think we should just not mention it.
We go, what?
We mentioned it already.
And then people can email us, go, you forgot that what? I missed that part. I never... should, you know what? They should put that online.
There was nothing about that. You were really good at catching that.
If only more people knew about that fingerprints line. Okay, so again, this kind of topped off the environmental message, I suppose, of this particular cartoon. I mean, in the early 90s, we had, I don't know if it was just my imagination, being kind of in middle school and suddenly getting more of a more consciousness of the Earth and everything. But I think there was a real push for Earth Day in the early 90s. I seem to remember that a lot. I mean, we had weird stuff going on. We had the Exxon Valdez going on, and the whole idea of recycling. I mean, that was, you were lucky if you got a recycling bin in your house. Everything got thrown into the trash for the dumpster. Now, I think nationwide, everyone has basically a trash can and then an easier option to recycle. I mean, at least here in Tucson, I don't know about in Georgia, but here in Tucson, it was just like you had your one can and everything got thrown in there. And if you wanted to recycle it, well, yeah, you could put it in a different thing, but you had to go across town to go like down to the area of the dump to like the scrapyard to get it recycled for a few cents. It was something nobody did really. What did they have? Did they have easy access to recycling in Georgia, or was it basically the same thing?
I think it depends on where you live. Where I live, I couldn't tell you where I could recycle anything.
Really?
We don't have special trash cans or anything, but I have. I know people who live in apartments and stuff, and they have special recycling bins and receptacles, and I think. I think I've lived somewhere before, one of the cities where I've lived in the past, and I think we did have a separate, you'd have like the blue trash can for recycling and like a green one for something else. But that was so long ago. But yeah, it's not widespread. It's more so in the Atlanta area, I think, where they have more options.
Yeah, I guess for rural, for outside, big metro areas, I suppose that's true. Well,
kind of a shame. We recycle at work though. So there's that.
Yeah, bring all your just take everything to work
and just cut those Coke can holders. So there you go.
There's your lesson.
So they don't wrap around little turtles. Have you seen those pictures? Those are awful little turtle shells.
I know. Yeah. So cut them up, folks, before you throw them in the trash. You might save a turtle or a fish or a pigeon one day and not even know it. Okay, so that is the Good Feathers right there for that episode. To-dump, which once again is, by the way, another title pun. It's kind of an onomatopoetic version of the William Tell Overture, by the way.
Onomatopoetic. You're just making up.
That's a made-up word. You mean the Lone Ranger song?
Yeah, sure. I'm allowed to make up words, right?
No.
Wouldn't that
you're
be
not Shakespeare.
Now, because like you're taking onomatopoeia and poetic and like you're putting them together. Isn't that a portmanteau?
Sure.
So you made a portmanteau out of
this is all just...
We're going off the deep end here.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get any sleep last night.
We didn't. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up, everyone.
Yep.
The last thing that we have is, of course, the Wheel of Morality makes its return. And, they have some cute little things. Dot wants to know if they should floss, or Wacko wants to know if they should do a gookie. And of course, the gookie is a reference back to Harpo Marx. We discussed that in a previous episode, which is cool. Marx Brothers reference once again. But of course, the answer is blowing in the wind, which is what does Yakko say? He says,
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Except in New Jersey, where what's blowing in the wind smells funny.
That's a reference to the Bob Dylan song. What is it? It's just called Blowing in the Wind. Yeah.
We're going to sing How Many Roads Must Have Been.
So I guess, you know what? That is kind of a nice environmental kind of song there too. So we have one more kind of environmental-ish kind of message to wrap things up. Again, Wheel of Morality. It's a cute one. I like this message. It's funny. Never been to New Jersey, so I don't know if it smells or not, but according to
Yakko.
Take that, New Jersey.
In 1993, it smelled.
Yeah. Not any more thoughts on that one, Kelly? Any thoughts on Wheel of Morality? Things like that?
It was cute.
Yeah, it was cute. Well,
I like the water tower ending.
Oh yeah, the water tower ending was a little bit different. It was like a Disneyland kind of thing. What are you doing now? I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Which is basically what it was nice for me to watch, because I watched this episode last night again after watching the election results, and I was like, well said, Yakko, I'm going to bed. And good night. Good night, everybody. And that was about it. So, cute ending as well. So, let's go ahead and get right into our water tower rating. So, let's start with Kelly. Kelly, how many water towers would you give this episode out of 5?
I will give it 2.5. It was okay. It was very formulaic. It had some good messages, and I really did like the song at the beginning, which I'm blanking on the name of it. The food song. It's called
Be Careful What You Eat.
Okay.
It's called
Make sure you keep the O's.
Oh, don't worry.
I wasn't the only one blanking on it. So no, I really like that. It's really catchy, and it's one of the songs that was on my original soundtrack, and so I love that. So yeah, I would give it 2.5.
All right, and Nathan, what about you?
I'm also giving it 2.5. All the cartoons were good, not great, and I enjoyed the transitions. But yeah, overall, I don't think I would go out of my way to see either the Mindy or Buttons or the Good Feathers, but I did enjoy that song at the beginning.
All right. Well, I'll give it, I was going to go with 3, basically. On the way over
3.
here. Yeah, it was 3. I'd like to go a triple agreement once again, but I'm going to go a little higher. 3, I love the song, and they had little cute little joining segments, and good animation with the Good Feathers. So I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
About the same. So there we go. Well, let's go ahead and get right over to our poll results from last week.
Hello, audience. This is the announcer with last week's Twitter poll results. Listeners were asked, which of these is your favorite Slappy Squirrel cartoon? Hashtag Animanicast, hashtag Animanicast poll. Wait a minute, hashtag Animanicast? Oh, I kind of messed that one up. Oh well. 13% said Slappy Goes Walnuts. And it was actually a tie for 4th place, because another 13% said it was Garden the Garden. 18% said it was Hooray for Slappy. But with 56%, the winner is Bumby's Mom. Wait a minute. Bumby's mom is... Oh, Jiminy Christmas. I tell you, that was an emotional poll. I'm going to go cry right now. But back to the studio with a brand new poll for this week.
All right, everybody. So those were the results. Not a big shocker. Bumby's mom won.
Yeah.
What about you, Nathan?
Bumby's mom.
Kelly?
Bumby's mom.
Bumby's mom for me as well.
I don't even know if we need a reason for it.
You know, because it's a fantastic, cartoon. It just goes down as one of not only the best Slappy segments, but really one of the best segments of all of the episodes of Animaniacs.
That parody Bambi.
Yes. No, just all of them. Not just the ones that parody Bambi, but of all of them.
Oh, okay.
It has such memorable moments and great performances by Sherry Stoner and Nathan Ruger.
Mm-hmm.
And Tress MacNeille who played the deer right there. Just good all around. Excellent writing. Fun stuff. Excellent Slappy cartoon. So, with that, we're going to get to our new poll question for this week. Nathan, what do you got?
Oh, it's somewhere. No, the poll for this week is, what is your favorite Good Feathers cartoon so far? So,
because we just had 4.
Yeah, it was just an episode today.
Yeah.
So there was, here's the 4 we can choose from so far. We have Good Feathers, the beginning.
All right.
There's West Side Pigeons.
Mm-hmm.
The Boyds. To the Dump, etc. Because they're not going to be able to fit all that on.
That's true. I'm just going to have to say, maybe I can fit into the dump, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll see what I can do.
Well.
All right. So go ahead and go over to twitter.com/Animaniacast, or just simply search on Twitter for #Animaniacast poll, and you will find the poll relatively easily. So now it's time to announce the winners of our contest. And
we have 2 new entries, too.
That's true. Oh, we do. So let's go and read those off first of all.
So this one's from HRYPTR. I don't even, let's see, Herpter. It says, podcast equals awesome. The Animaniacs is my favorite cartoon ever! ! I look forward to listening to these lovely people talk about it every week. I'd recommend this podcast to anyone who loves this cartoon as much as I do! ! So,
very cool.
Aww.
So if this is your favorite
Kelly.
cartoon ever, then you should listen to this podcast.
Kelly, he called us lovely.
I know.
That's so sweet.
Thanks, Herpter.
And Nathan, we had another one too.
That's right. Okay, this is Boyd.
The Boyds.
Yeah, like the episode, the Boyds.
Yeah.
So this is Boyd. Are you pondering what I'm pondering? ? Well, I think so, Brain, but Lady Gaga already wore a dress made out of meat.
Oh.
I never watched Animaniacs as a kid, so when the show came to Netflix, I jumped on the chance to watch it! ! This podcast is the perfect companion piece for anyone new to Animaniacs, or for someone revisiting it for the billionth time! !
Very cool. So thank you very much. This is Boyd.
This is Boyd.
The Boyds. So this is what we're going to do. Nathan, what I'd like you to do is to go through those reviews right now.
Okay.
And tell me the ones that gave us 5 stars, and only the ones that give us 5. If you give us 4, then we love you, but we're not doing it. And don't list off ours either, Nathan.
Dang it.
We can't win. Okay, so list off these people. Here we go.
So there's Tim G311!
Okay, that's one.
There's Stephen Brandon.
Okay.
There's Swampy19. There's Rocky2689.
Okay.
I Love Alf 88. My Deaver Box.
Okay.
There's at Baltmat 270.
Okay.
There's Bond Servant for Jesus Christ.
Of course.
There's Mike Westfall.
Uh-huh.
There's DJ Kavur 2.0.
That's true.
There's Herpter. And
who could forget?
And this is Boyd.
And this is Boyd. So, here's how we're going to do it, folks. You ready? Last time we pulled names out of a hat, but you know what we're going to do this time? We are going to simply say this. The first 2 people, if we named up your username, if you email the Animanicast at retrozap.com and just say, hey, that was me. You have to tell the truth. You have to say, hey, that was me. And we have ways to make sure that you're telling the truth.
We'll double check.
Yes. Well, the first person to get in contact with us will win the prize package of decals, which includes Pinky, the Brain, Put a Brain in the White House, and a collection of Yakko Wakko and Dot decal right there. And if you get in contact with the second, you will get 1 or 2. You won't get the full set, but you'll get like at least 1 or 2. So there you go. So you'll win a kind of a second place prize right there. And if you get 3rd, 4th, 5th, I'm just going to say, ooh, sorry. So there we go.
So email right now, because you got a pretty good chance of winning if we named out your name.
Do it now. There we go. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up once and for all. We thought this was going to be a very short episode, but then we ended up talking about everything else in the world. It's just been one of those days. Let's go ahead and, like I mentioned, our email is animanicast@retrozap.com. And speaking of RetroZap, we are a proud member of the RetroZap community. And if you head on over to retrozap.com, you'll not only see cool articles, like I'm looking right here, there's some new comic book reviews here. We have the new Civil War II #6 review written by Dennis. And we also have tons of different podcasts. We have the Animanicast. Well, I heard they're pretty good. We have the ArgCast, Beltway Banthas, Brews and Blasters, the Dunecast, Skywalking Through Neverland, Starship Sabers and Scoundrels, Talking Apes TV, Techno Retro Dads, the Deucecast, the Sandcrawler, the Trade Federation, and We Know Nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of great podcasts, and if you want to get in contact or at least listen to every single one of them, guess what you can do? You can actually subscribe to the RetroZap feed, and every single one of those podcasts will be delivered to you automatically. You'll be able to listen to every single one of them, including ours. Woo! Which is pretty cool. It's what I do.
The best one.
There we go. So let's go ahead and get right over to the contact information. Kelly, how can people get in contact with you if they like to say hi?
They can contact me at Twitter at Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or Kelly, KLLY, at BigShinyRobot.com.
Very cool. And Nathan, what about you?
I'm on Twitter, DjangoFT, that's me.
Okay, and the AnimeCast, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. I've given you the email a couple times. I'm not going to do it again. And with that, I think we're all done here. We're going to go save the world. And for the Animanicast, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Are you finished?
I'm done, yeah.
Good.